Hello and welcome to a new episode of Leadership Lanes. Today we have Tirtha with us. Tirtha is a MS in Tech Management student at Columbia University. She is a product manager with experience in working at growth startups. She completed her bachelor's in business administration with a specialization in marketing, which led her to work on various national and household brands in India such as Amazon Fresh, Borosil, and SOS Children's Villages of India. Her work has won her the Cannes Lions Award in 2022, Curious 2022, and many more. So, welcome to the episode, Tirtha.
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to be on this podcast. Kudos to you to even start it in the first place. Just for context, Abhijit and I are classmates, and that's how we know each other.
Absolutely. Let's start with your background, right? So, just give us a
Mhm.
bit of a context about your bachelor's, your background, your core skill set, if I would say.
Yeah, sure. So I did a bachelor in business administration with a specialization in marketing, and this I did from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies back in India. And I think my favorite subject back then was advertising. My professor Rakhi Raturi ma'am, she I think is the best professor for marketing. She got me interested. That's how I really started to get to know a lot of different brands and different campaigns, and that kind of motivated me to get into marketing in the first place. After that, while I was doing my bachelor's, I did volunteer in a couple of organizations such as ISEC. ISEC is an international organization. There I worked as a team leader and a team manager. So a lot of my management skill sets started from there, even my communication skills, because I spoke to a lot of international people there. It was basically an organization that did cross-cultural exchanges. After that, I started into internships. So I started slow. I started with business development and sales, then moved into public relations, graphic designing, marketing management trainee, then finally got into advertising agencies. So I worked there as a client servicing trainee, then got into client servicing as a full-time role at FCB Connect. There I worked on a lot of amazing brands, including Asian Paints. I used to work on social media reports, of course, their branding and how they want to communicate, their social media, sometimes even mainline stuff. And then finally, I got into product management. So I like to say that I moved from client briefs to product requirement documents. So yeah, that's basically my background.
Good that you talk about moving to product management, right? From your perspective, was it more of a organic or a transitional switch, or was it more like you had to work hard on it?
Um, for me, I think it came naturally that I wanted to get into product. This is something I like to say in the interviews that I did back then as well. When I got into marketing, I wanted to be as close to the consumers as possible. But when I was working in those agencies, and even if I moved to the brand side of marketing, I felt like I couldn't contribute enough to make a change. Whereas now, when I got into product management, I can make a small change of a button and it affects like thousands of users. So I think that's where it started within me that I want to get into product management. The journey, I would say, would definitely was not easy. It's like you have to understand the basics of it, but I was grateful to start working in a startup. I worked in this company called Work on Grid, and they gave me this opportunity. There were like multiple rounds of interviews, multiple calls, negotiations, a very long journey that finally got me into this product role. But even then, I was working as an intern back then.
Yes. So from your transition from your marketing to a PM role, right? What can you say, like, what were your transferable skills? Like, if you want to call out, like, say, top two, for example.
Um, I think my top two would be problem solving and communication or relationship building. this is mostly because problem solving, when I was working as a client servicing executive, on a daily basis, we used to receive client briefs and, they wanted results in minutes. So you really need to be on top of things. Plus, it's like a very collaborative role to be in because I kept interacting with design teams, sometimes creative teams, the people who write copy, etc. So you need to give your ideas as well. So I think that's where the problem solving skills come in. And the second one would definitely be relationship building because as a client servicing executive, my job was to literally get work done, literally ask people to, give me posts as soon as possible. And you can't just give work to people without building a relationship with them. And I think that's where I think it's very important, these two skills.
Got
A
it.
couple of examples too, actually. When I was working in client servicing, I used to pitch ideas to clients, sometimes to creative teams, and you need those kind of convincing skills. And even if you have ideas, you can't just pitch the idea. Again, you need to build a relationship with those clients. So yeah, I think very important.
Got it. Got it. And from what I know, you were one of the founding members of the startup that you were working on in terms of the product track that got created in the startup. So tell us more about that.
Funnily enough, although I wish I was the founding member, but they did treat me like that. I worked at Grid only for a year. I worked at Grid as a product management intern, and then I got converted within a month into a product manager and as an associate product manager. And this is actually the jacket that I'm wearing from there. There are four founders of the company, and I'm the fifth person to have this jacket. No one else has it, so I really like to flaunt this jacket as much as possible.
So one key aspect of a PM is to manage, or maybe manage is not the correct word here, like to interact with engineering teams, right? And that's where I see the biggest challenges when it comes to all the teams that typically a PM has to interact with. You have UX, you have management, etc., which I feel for a PM is more easy because a PM has to naturally have an skill of storytelling, which resonates more with them than the
Mhm.
engineering team. Uh,
Yeah,
how was that experience? Like, was it challenging? Because you come from a business background, right?
yeah.
So was it challenging enough, or was it like, okay, I can do it?
So when I started working there as an intern, I remember not even being able to understand certain things, certain parts of the product. And because I was like the first person in the company who was setting PM related processes, um, it I used to do a lot of research, a lot of reading. I joined a lot of PM communities back in India, which kind of motivated me to apply the concepts that I was learning from the people in the community to the company related stuff. It is absolutely difficult, not only because it was difficult for me because I was working there as an intern and then I got converted into APM. And I think it is also difficult for people to perceive when such a change management thing happens. So, definitely something that I'm very proud of for being able to overcome.
Absolutely, that's true actually. Again, right, one thing that typically comes out from my interactions with PM over the course of these podcast series has been like conveying the vision, right? I mean, you have the leadership and then you have the ground level teams, which is maybe engineering, UX, QA, whatever. And
Hmm.
to convey that leadership vision to these teams, right? And there are various ways to convey it, right? You have Jira stories, you have epics and all, right?
Right,
So
right.
how critical you think is a PM role in order to conveying this leadership or converting these leadership visions into epics or stories, and
Hmm.
that in turn gets converted to actual tasks, like actual low level, ground level tasks to each of these teams?
Hmm. That's a really interesting question. I would like to start by talking a little bit how marketing background has helped me get there. I think one of the teams apart from legal teams in any company is marketing that knows how to ensure that we are on the correct track. We are following the plan that we have made. In terms of communication, how the company needs to be branded, how the company needs to be perceived. I think a product manager's role is extremely important to drive that kind of a vision. Even if like the founders of the company have set up a vision that they have great ideas, how to develop the product, different industries that you can get into. But there needs to be that one person who takes the initiative, the proactiveness that comes in and keeps driving people to ensure that the delivery of that particular feature is really good. Because if the delivery of a feature isn't good enough, you are not going to be able to achieve the vision of the founders or of the company, and the overall strategy would just fail because you wouldn't get as much success when it comes to your features. So that's why.
Absolutely, that's true actually, and that's where I also feel that the PM role becomes too critical here. We will talk
Mhm.
about the future of PM role in a bit. I know you have few thoughts about that, which may or may not differ with me. But before going on to that particular track, right? I believe Grid is an LMS system. You
So
wanna,
yeah,
yeah.
so just I'll give you a quick brief about Grid. Grid is a no-code tool. It is targeted towards mining infrastructure, food and beverage companies, and it is basically a data collection, analysis, and a reporting tool for like the industries that I just said. It has played a major role in digital transformation because back in India and actually all over the world, a lot of data is still recorded on paper. So it boosts efficiency by a lot of time, and it basically has a web application and a mobile application. You can collect data on the mobile and you can see the data on web, set complex processes, not getting too much into the details of it. But although the product is very easy to use, when you use it for the first time, okay, the onboarding of it needs to be very thorough. And that is where I realized that there was a very big gap because we had so many partners interested in our product, but it was difficult for us to convert them. And after a point of time, I built this LMS called Grid Academy. You can check it out on academy.workongrid.com. But this entire thing had, I created this academy from scratch. I set up the mission, vision, and the aim of it, which kind of led into what it is right now. We have two courses. One is the foundation and the advanced course. And I set up the difficulty level of each and every course, provided very real life examples of how our clients could set up the stuff on Grid, which provided a lot of perspective to our partners, and it has boosted the efficiency, the onboarding efficiency amazingly. So that's the gist of Grid Academy.
Which is very fascinating because now I see that you have worked on we can call Grid as a maybe a B2B kind of a platform, and then your
Yeah.
internship experience has been more into B2C products. So what fascinates you more? Like, is it more on the consumer end or is it more on the business end?
I think it's the overall impact that I create. It's how I'm able to impact the consumer. So even if it is through the B2B route, I'm happy as long as I'm making an impact.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
what PMs are for, right?
Yes.
You're very well aware the recent decision by Airbnb in
Mm-hmm.
order to quote unquote eliminate the PM role and
Right.
merge it with marketing. Now you have done both. You have done marketing as well as you have done PM. So what are your thoughts on it?
I would say that I would I would say that I 100% support the idea of Airbnb, and I also get why they did it. Because what happens is, as a marketer, because you deal so much with client briefs and you work so hard to just get a very clear communication across, when that transferable skill comes into product management, it makes a lot of impact. I would, like I said before, marketing is that one team that knows how to get a very clear idea across.
Yes,
They
that's
know
right.
how to stay on track.
Yeah.
So each and every product manager, of course, needs to be customer centric, and that customer centricity comes from the product marketing role too. And just one example I would like to cite, as we all know, product managers are on calls for like so many hours of the day. And it was exactly like that for me. I was working on, let's say, 2 to 3 features, and then every day I used to conduct calls to first, get the point, understand what is the progress on each and every feature. But apart from that, when the feature was closer and closer to delivery, I used to create documents again for the marketing team, and then the marketing team used to sit and understand, okay, what are the different ways this feature can be used? What is the application in each and every industry? So, and how to get that point across. So, that double amount of work that I had to do would just reduce if there was a product marketing role. And that's why I think the decision is good. But just to add, like, I get why people are not in support of it, but at the same time, just how people can get into product management without any technical experience, and they can still learn. Similarly, when people can also get into marketing regardless of the background that they are
Yeah.
from. So
At least with the folks that I've spoken to, I don't see a general consensus on this. Coming to the marketing aspect of your role at Grid, right? So you want to talk about that?
yes, so like I said, when I was working on Grid Academy, it helped us in improving the onboarding, and it had actually had a two it had basically had two aims. One being improving the onboarding within the company, because we were hiring massively back then,
Hmm.
and for people to get to know the product and understand and go into the details of it, it was taking a lot of time. This academy project immediately reduced it from like 6 to 7 days to literally just like 1 to 2 hours, and people were as good as anyone who has been in the company for, let's say 6 months. At the same time, we focused on the conversions with our partners. So converting partners didn't just require us to just tell them how to use the product, but also tell them what are the different applications of the product. And those applications cannot just be communicated with like long articles or uh, social media posts. It's not enough. And when a person is sitting through 1.5 hour of Grid Academy content, they are not just learning how to use the product, but also how to apply the product. So the second part, the second difficulty level, which is the advanced course that you see on Work on Grid on the website right now, the advanced course has been made with like an entire story surrounding it. It has a winery, and the winery has like 7 to 8 people working, and each and every person has different responsibilities. So, what are the different templates that can be helpful for any company? Now, that range from like firing extinguishers to ensuring the basically tracking when the fire extinguishers are going out of date, to even like if the machines are working well. So we have a Grid has a lot of templates, and all of them got covered in the advanced one, and it has improved the onboarding efficiency again. So I think my marketing background really, really helped me get the clear idea across for this project.
One question on the same aspect. Grid has been much of a technical kind of a product, I would say, wherein you have engineering teams and all, and your
Yes,
previous experience was more consumer-based products. So,
yes.
um, how does your how does it differ in your day-to-day activity, right? does it mean that you spend more time communicating with your internal teams in grid as opposed to more time communicating with customers when we are doing the consumer PMs in your internship?
Um, I think there is a healthy balance of the two. Because I would say that the product that I was working on, Grade, is meant for C-level executives. It's meant for frontline workers or field workers. So the kind of communication that you do on the product was very focused on C-level executives, because of course those were the people that we were targeting.
So it's a balance.
It's 100% a balance, yeah.
What is your one favorite thing about being a PM? And in addition to that, if at all there is a student in in their last year pondering about PM, what would you tell,
Mhm.
like one thing to take that leap?
I think what I love as a product manager is to be able to create an impact and being able to see the impact quantitatively and qualitatively. It's amazing to see that, because I remember when I was working at Grid, there was a point of time where I was working on signups and getting people to use a certain feature of the product altogether, like from the website where they wanted to sign up for a trial till the end. And it was a lot of fun to just be able to envision that, oh my God, I'm working on the whole thing at the same time. So that, and a tip I would say, for anyone who wants to get into product management, has just gotten into it, transitioning into product management, is I feel that you need a lot of structured thinking. Being able to create structures and frameworks is very important. There are thousands of frameworks out there by so many amazing people. But even if you don't know them, don't consider that as your weakness. But try creating the structures yourself and you'll be good to go. So, yeah.
Absolutely. One last fun question, actually. How important do you think is extrovert versus introvert in being a PM? Like, do you do you think you have to be an extrovert to become a good PM?
Yes, yes. I think it depends on the scale of the company. So if you're working in a startup and you are introverted, it's completely fine because you're getting the work done, you're getting the results, and you're still building the relationship with the people on a one-to-one basis or a multiple, whatever it is. But when it comes to a bigger company, I feel like you can't just, although being an introvert definitely has its own benefits as well. But being able to influence people, being open to talking about certain things, and as a PM, you have to say no to certain features a lot as well. As much as you like to say yes, you also have to say no a lot. And those kind of things I feel like come with being an extrovert, being out there and not being afraid to just present yourself. So I think both of them have their own benefits. Depends on the scale of the company.
I agree with you on the startup aspect because visibility comes by default. You don't have to
Yeah,
do anything
true.
extra to get that visibility in the company. But yeah, once the organization grows, then you have to be a bit of extrovert to kind of gain that visibility.
Yeah.
I guess that's all for us today, Tirtha.
Mhm.
It was great talking to you. See you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good day.